For the first time ever, you will be able to lend out money to the big institutions to earn yield on your XRP. All native on the XRP Ledger, no wrapping, no bridging, no smart contracts, none of that. A hybrid approach to lending that leverages the strength of the XRP network, which is settlement and credit origination, and mixes it with off-chain components to offer a solution you and I, and hopefully also the institutions, will love. What I'm talking about is of course the so-called lending protocol that lets you lend out XRP and tokens for some yield. It's upcoming, so not live yet, but already proposed to the validators to say yes whenever they feel like it. So fingers crossed. There's also a demo out there that I want to go through today that will explain it all in tiny little steps for you. Want to follow me along on my journey through existentially threatening death on the Devnet? Then let's go. Hey, what's going on everyone? My name is Krippenreiter, and today we are taking a closer look at the two new upcoming features on the XRPL, namely Single Asset Vault and the lending protocol. The Single Asset Vault in particular is what is at the center of everything, as we will see in the demo today. It's like a bucket where money can be thrown into and money can be taken out of, while overseen by someone who is called the loan broker, who put the bucket there in the first place. So on our little overview, we will start with the vault, right? We will call it vault, will be in the center. Okay, looks good. Next, for the protocol to work, there are three active roles that you should know about. The first one is the loan broker, which is actually kind of a manager because he owns the vault. So we will take a little circle, put it right here, and call it loan broker. And as I said, he's the manager, so we'll add this as well. The second one is the depositor or lender. So this could be you or me, right? So let's take this as well, create a circle. Let's call it depositor. And the depositor is actually the lender. And then the third and last role in the setup is the borrower or the debtor. So let's create a circle here as well. This is the third role, the borrower. I know you probably only care about the lending aspect because you want to earn some yield, right? But the loan broker is actually the more important role that you need to learn more about. The reason is simply because if you don't know anything about the loan broker, or this role especially, you will not be able to choose a good and legitimate bucket on XRPL to deposit your funds into. Why is that? Because the loan broker can be seen as the vault manager, and it could be anyone because it's a permissionless feature. Like the Single Asset Vault lending protocol, it's permissionless. Anyone can create these vaults. Anyone can be a loan broker, can be a depositor. It's open to everyone to use, right? And if anyone can create a vault on the XRPL, obviously there are also bad people out there. So this is why it's important to also understand the role of the loan broker as well. The loan broker will be the one who manages the loans that are going to be created later with the borrower. And he also is the one managing the vault itself. So as I said, he's the owner, he's the manager, he cares about managing the vault because for him it's a business. He makes money managing this vault, so he has to care a lot about what is going on there and who is getting the loans. But because it's a business as well, you as a depositor should know a lot about this role as well. But that's all super boring and theoretical, right? So let's dive into the demo. This demo is a website that Max created with the help of the Ripple X ecosystem growth team. Definitely give him a follow on X. He is also the brain behind XRPL Monday Bro, so you should definitely know him and follow him. You decide if he's a sleeper agent. Who knows? Shout out to you, Max. But what is this all about, right? In this demo, we will go through the whole loan lifecycle on XRPL. We will create a new vault as a loan broker, and we will configure a few settings there. We will also, as a lender, depositor, deposit XRP into the vault, so we will not care about any issued IOU tokens or something. It will be all XRP. And we will also issue a loan and let the borrower who took the loan then repay the loan as well. And then in the end, we will also try to default on the loan as well to see how I get wrecked as a lender. Okay, so the first step is to sign in. Now that we have signed in, the first thing we will see is like this overview. And very important, this is not the mainnet, it's the Devnet, as seen here, because obviously these two protocols are not live yet on mainnet, so it's all development based. And what we will get is 4 new accounts. Like these are accounts that got created after I signed in. The first one is the broker account, which got funded with 100 XRP. Also the depositor, the borrower, and then also the currency issuer that we will not care much about today because we will not care about issuing any currencies or any new stable coins or something. And the first step, as shown here in this overview, is to create a vault. So this is what we will do first. Back to our drawing board. The first step is to actually create the vault, because this is something we haven't done yet. And we will not only create the vault, we will also own it as a loan broker. Maybe about the roles again. The loan broker, in case you don't know who the loan broker will actually be, it's very likely that the loan broker will be Soil, Doppler Finance or Ripple. The depositor will actually be someone like you and me or any kind of lender like Evernorth, anyone who wants to lend money. And the borrower could also be Soil, Doppler Finance and Ripple, for example, but also market makers, arbitragers, so everyone who needs money right now, who wants some kind of leverage on their position to maybe trade on the DEX, for example. And for this, he will be the borrower to get funds that they haven't had before. So what is the first step now that we have talked about all the roles? The first step is actually to create a vault. And to create a vault, we have to decide about an asset first. And I will go with XRP because I don't care about IOU or MPT-based stable coins or something. We will go with XRP and XRP only. The first step will be to create a vault identity. So we have to give this thing a name. I will call it Krippens give me XRP vault. You can give this identity any name that you want. Website, I will go with Krippenreiter.com. Could be your website. Then about the settings, we can toggle set a maximum deposit cap here, which we will not do. If we want to set a ceiling basically for how much deposit can happen into this vault, we can set it here. I don't want to do it. Then the non-transferable shares option is something we could do if we want to disallow or allow the secondary market. So if we keep it as is, so not activated, then this would mean that the multi-purpose tokens are shareable. Right? So I can transfer them, I can sell them. Since it's a multi-purpose token that will be created when we deposit, we can actually also do something with it. If we don't want to create a secondary market as a loan broker, we would activate this setting, but we will keep it untoggled. So the next step after we have decided about the settings is to care about the share token metadata. So if you don't know, as a depositor, as soon as you deposit into the vault, what you get back is a share token. And this share token will be a multi-purpose token that is issued by the vault itself. So as we go back here, what will happen is, as a depositor, you probably want to deposit into the vault. So in our case, we will deposit XRP. And as soon as we have deposited XRP into the vault, we will get MPT tokens that got issued by the vault. And these are share tokens. For the metadata, we have to give this multi-purpose token a name, so the ticker. I will go with Krippe. Then we will have to give this thing a name as well. I will go with Krippen shares. The issuer name is actually the name of the vault account. So if we look at the address of the vault account, this will be the name for the vault account. I will go with something like Krippenbank. Then we have to set an asset class. Last time I checked, I'm a human, so I'm maybe a real world asset, who knows? I also have to select a subclass. I don't know. Am I a commodity? I don't know. Write in the comments what you think I am. Maybe a commodity, I hope. Then a description as well. We will go with something like ownership shares of the vault. So because this is just perfect. This is what it describes. And then you can also select or give this share token an icon. I will use the icon that I have from Twitter. So I will go with my own profile picture from Twitter. And now we get to the part which is very important to understand, because this is something you really have to understand. It's super important for you as the loan broker, but also for you as the lender, because all these values that you see right here for the broker configuration are what you have to look at for your risk management, because the lending protocol is uncollateralized. It's not over-collateralized. So the borrower who wants to borrow funds is not collateralizing, but the loan broker can still add some kind of deposit into the vault that will help you as the lender to save money in case the borrower defaults. So for this, we have the management fee, we have max debt, we have minimum cover rate, liquidation rate, and we have the first loss capital. This is the most important part. Let's start with the management fee. It is the percentage the broker will earn on your loan interest. So assuming you would get 5% annualized yield, the broker would snag 1% of the interest that you generated. We will take this and set it to, let's say, 1%. This is very high, but just for the example. Then we have the first loss capital in XRP this time. This is the broker's own money that is sitting as a safety buffer inside the vault. So the moment the vault gets created, the loan broker will deposit funds as well into the same vault as you to have skin in the game. You can think of it as a company deploying funds from its own treasury into the vault to incentivize people to trust the loan broker a lot more. Similar maybe to an insurance. Minimum cover rate, also very important. This is the minimum percentage of all outstanding loans that the broker must keep as first loss capital at all times to still earn fees. So again, from the total debt that got created over time, this is the percentage of it that the loan broker is willing and aiming to have first loss capital for at all times. If it's set to, let's say, 10%, the broker must always have at least 10% of the total money lent out sitting in first loss capital. Very important in case a lot of defaults happen and his first loss capital drops below the minimum, then he has the problem that all incoming fees that were usually meant to go into his own pocket will be redirected into the vault instead to top up the first loss capital again. So he's definitely incentivized to always have at least enough first loss capital provided to cover the minimum required amount. And the last value is the liquidation rate, very important and also very tricky a little bit. This is the percentage that will effectively be used to offset losses based on the minimum covered amount that the loan broker promised to hold as first loss capital multiplied by the current total debt that exists. So let's say it's set to 100%. The loan broker has 1000 XRP deposited as first loss capital. The minimum covered amount is set to 10%, as we've already done. And there are two loans currently, just saying, just as an example, created for each 100 XRP, which equals to 200 XRP in total debt. And now let's assume one of the loans defaults. So 100 XRP defaults. Total debt, as we know, 200 XRP multiplied with the minimum cover, which is 10%, equals 20 XRP. And now, as we have said, 100 is the liquidation rate, as we've said here. The whole 20 XRP would be used to cover the default of 100 XRP. So not 100 XRP is protected when we set the liquidation rate to 100, but 100% of the 10% of the total debt. If we set the liquidation rate lower, the amount that gets effectively used to cover the default gets smaller as well, obviously. So maybe a little summary. The management fee is something you as a lender want to be as low as possible, while as a loan broker you want to be as high as possible. The maximum debt is just the ceiling that you can set or not. Let's say you want your vault to be limited to a certain amount of XRP for a loan, then this is where you would set it. The minimum cover rate is what the loan broker basically promised to have set and deposited into a vault in first loss capital to protect the loans in case something bad happens. And then the liquidation rate is how much per default from the minimum cover rate is liquidated to help you out as a lender. So as we said, 100%, but again, 100% from the 10% minimum cover rate. In this example, before we click on Create Vault and Register Broker, we will set these values a little bit differently, just to make it easier for us to understand. The minimum cover rate we will keep at 10%, but the liquidation rate we will do 5%, and the first loss capital we will do 50 XRP. This should work. While the vault and the broker gets created, let's take a look here back. As we said, we now created the vault. And what we didn't yet do is deposit XRP, but what we actually did was we already deposited first loss capital. So let's add this as well and do this overview. The loan broker deposits first loss capital which we will add right now. Okay, there we are. We have created the loan broker on the XRPL Devnet. As you can see, it's named XRP Vault. There are no total assets right now and nothing is available and no shares that got issued right now because we have not yet deposited any XRP. So the next one would actually be to issue a loan, but we don't have anything deposited, right? As it says, insufficient vault liquidity. We need 20 XRP, but the vault has 0 XRP right now available. So we have to do the deposit first. So we have to actually switch to the depositor role. And this is now what you would do as a lender. You would deposit funds into the vault, right? So as we said in the overview, as a depositor, what you will do right now, you will deposit XRP into the vault, and what you get back from the vault are issued share tokens. So what we'll do is we will actually deposit 50 XRP. We could do more and less, but let's go with 50. Deposit XRP, let's go. Okay, this worked, deposited 50 XRP into the vault. If we now go back to Loan Broker, we should see that the 50 XRP is added to the vault. As we can see, 50 XRP total assets. We have 50 XRP available and 50 shares issued to the account that was the depositor, so you. And the 50 XRP that are available right now are the 50 XRP that we could now lend out, right? Also very important, as a lender, just because you deposit funds into the vault doesn't mean you get yield instantly. That's not how it works. You only get yield if the funds that you put into the vault are actually also lent out for some kind of interest. Just depositing XRP into the vault itself does nothing. First, you have to do the loan as well. So we have to issue the loan. And what issuing the loan actually means is that the loan broker and the debitor have to come together. So imagine the borrower is a guy, the loan broker is a guy. Now they are calling each other. Hey, Mr. Borrower, do you like the terms that I've put up here? And then the borrower says, okay, it's fine. But instead of, let's say, 20 XRP principal, I would do rather 30 XRP. And then if both parties agree on certain aspects, then you can say the loan is okay. And it can be created, and very important, it must be co-signed. So the borrower and the loan broker both have to sign the terms of the agreement. So for the loan, they both have to sign the loan for it to get into effect. So if we go back to our little overview, what will actually happen is we will now add a new object, which we will put here, and it will be the loan. And for this loan to work out, we have to provide liquidity, and the liquidity that it's provided is coming from the vault. But to create the loan and provide liquidity from the vault, we have to first create and co-sign the loan. And this is what we'll do from the loan broker side, and as I said, from the borrower side as well. Both parties could initiate, but both parties have to agree on the loan. Let's say the loan broker creates it and he co-signs it. Then on the borrower side, the borrower could also create it, but in our example, the loan broker is creating it. But I will still say creates and co-signs it. And then for the borrower to actually get the money, he has to withdraw, right? So you have to, from the loan, you have to go from the loan to the borrower. As soon as it's signed, the borrower gets the money into his account. So the borrower basically withdraws from the loan. So after the borrower has withdrawn the money, he has to repay it in installments. We will see in a few seconds how this is all going to work. But let's say he has to repay. So we will add this as well into our overview. Okay, but for this to all work, we have to configure obviously the terms for the loan. So let's do this. Let's go back. We have to issue a loan now, right? We have configured, we have created and configured the vault. We have deposited money. Now we have to create a loan for the borrower and loan broker to sign. And for this, we have to give this thing a loan name. Let's say, Krippen, I'm broke. Give me XRP Q3. We will go with 20 XRP as principal. So the idea is that the borrower will get 20 XRP into his account, but we will actually do 21 XRP. I will explain in a second. Then the number of payments. We expect the borrower to do 3 payments to repay the full amount. And here's the interest rate. This is something you have to look out for as a lender as well. You have to look out how much yield you get. As we said, the loan broker, from this interest, he will take something out of it for the service management fee. But let's say we keep it at 10%, which is the interest rate for the loan that the borrower will have to pay. Then we have the payment interval, the grace period. For the payment interval, I will go with 60 seconds. And for the grace period, we will go with 60 seconds. The idea is that every 60 seconds, you have to do a payment as a borrower. And if you are late to your payment, you have 60 seconds still a grace period where you still are able to pay. If you are not able to pay and the grace period is over, the loan broker in theory can default the loan, which is something we'll do in a second as well. Then we have the origination fee. This is why I set the principal to 21, not to 20, because the creation of the loan itself will cost 1 XRP as well, which the loan broker will get. And the service fee is something that the borrower has to pay for every payment that he does to repay the whole loan. So 0.5 XRP for every of these 3 payments, so 1.50 XRP. So in total, we will ignore the overpayment because we will not overpay. We have set the principal to 21. We have set the interest rate to 10%. Then the service fee, which is 1.50 XRP, as we've said, 3 payments, 0.5 XRP per payment equals 1.50 XRP. So the total that the borrower has to repay is 22.50 XRP. And the estimated per payment roundabout will be 7 XRP in this demo. We know an origination fee of 1 XRP, so the borrower actually only received 20 XRP. So let's issue the loan. Okay, the loan got created. As you can see here, the loan is issued, 21 XRP, it's active. We have set the interest rate, we have set the grace period, how much is paid, how often got paid already, and the origination fee and the service fee and so on, and the interval. What we didn't cover, what you can do, which is just crazy, are all the penalty fees. I will not go over them all, but think of it like if you do something wrong as the borrower, the loan broker could actually create the loan in a way that you have to pay extra for everything that you do wrong. So let's say late payment, extra fee. Early close for your loan, extra fee. An overpayment for your fee, so you paid too much principal back. Instead of going through the repayments, again, a fee. Now that we have created the loan, what we will do now is go to the third role, which is the borrower. And as the borrower, we can see we have the principal here, we have the outstanding amount that we have to pay. We have to do 3 payments and we know the next payment when it will be due, right? And it should be 7 XRP. So what we'll do is we will do a late installment because we are already overdue because we set the payment rate and grace period to 60. So let's pay a little fee on top, right? Service fee and the 7 XRP for the principal. Let's do 1 installment for this loan. Nice. We already did 1 time, 1 payment. Let's do another one. Again, 7.50 XRP. Let's go. So for the last payment, I will not do the last payment because the idea is now to do the default. And also what we can see on the loan broker side, as we deposited 2 times the 7.50 XRP, you can see that the available increased. So this is something that the loan broker could now use to create a new loan, for example. But we wanted to do default, right? I promised to do the default, which is what we'll do now. So what will happen is the loan broker, because the loan didn't got paid, the borrower was way too slow, right? The grace period is already over. So the loan broker decides, okay, now is the time to just break up with the borrower and initiate the default. And for this, we create another line here on our overview, this time from the loan broker side to the loan. What this just means is that the loan broker will now initiate the default after the grace period. Okay, looks good. Let's go. Let's default. So we go to the loan broker role again. We go down. We know for the loan broker to the default, what we have to wait for is the grace period to be over, which is 60 seconds, as we said. And 60 seconds it was for the payment to be due. So we will wait now 2 minutes and see if the website lets us default on our loan. Okay, now I'm back. We can do the default. As you can see on the loan, it's overdue. We didn't pay as a borrower. We failed. We weren't able to pay. So what we'll do now as a loan broker, we decide to default, right? Because the borrower is just bad. Let's default. Are you sure you want to default this loan? Yes, I'm sure. Let's see what happens. Defaulting loan on Ledger. Loan defaulted via loan manage. Awesome. So we know it worked. The borrower defaulted. He was not able to pay the last one, right? So there is some XRP that wasn't paid. So what we'll see now from the depositor side, we actually lost money. Our profit and loss is now close to 7 XRP because this was what was missing still. So our vault position is now down to 43 from 50. right? We deposited 50 XRP into the beginning, as you remember. Now with the loss that we took, as we saw with the borrower defaulting and the loan broker initiating the default, we as a depositor had to take the loss. And because of the settings that were created with the first loss capital, not much got really covered from the first loss capital. Because as you remember, we had 10% minimum covered and only 5% from the liquidation right set. And this is basically nothing. So this is why the loss is pretty high this time. But what we can do, we can redeem the remaining few XRP that are still there. We didn't make any money, we lost money, but now we are back with 43 XRP that we could withdraw from the vault. The loan broker now has no XRP left because we took all out. We were the only depositor, so now the loan broker isn't able to do a new loan. As you can see, if we would want to do it, issue a loan, doesn't work because the loan broker has no XRP in it anymore. So it would need to wait for a new depositor to put in more money, to issue a new loan, to make you some yield. There you have it. We created the vault as the loan broker. We deposited XRP into the vault as the lender and let the loan broker create a new loan for the borrower, which we nearly fully repaid until the end because we defaulted as we wanted to do. But this is it. The full credit lifecycle directly on the XRP blockchain. On the right side, you can now watch my latest video about OpenUSD, or if you still have questions, feel free to write them in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this tutorial with everyone you know. I wish you a lovely day, and until next time, guys. Ciao, ciao.